Yeah. Let's go ahead and get started. We're already starting a little bit late, and we've got, even though we're here noon to 5 for stuff before the regular work council meeting, we still have a lot to cover. So, so first, I will open the meeting of the Temple Revitalization Corporation for October 19th, 2023. Currently, it is 12:15. First item is any public comments. Okay, and there are none, so we'll move on to the second item, which is to consider approving the minutes of the July 20th, 2023 meeting of the Temple Revitalization Corporation Board of Directors. So, board, are there any questions, any correction of the minutes, anything at all? I'm sure everybody read them front to back, right? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second that motion.
Very good. We have a motion by board member Walker. We have a second by board member Long. Board, please cast your vote. I guess we're doing it. All those in favor? Aye. Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the regular agenda is to consider the approval of a property transfer agreement, which will transfer 2 properties in the downtown neighborhood planning district and 4 properties in the Ferguson Park neighborhood planning district of the city of Temple to the revitalization.
Chair and board members. So the first item is the chair stated, is a property transfer agreement for 6 properties. In this case, this is approved. The city would convey property to carry out those community development program activities as well as the economic development activities that you all identified in your community development program. If the TRC does fail to do that, then the city may terminate the agreement at any point. The city would be responsible for reporting charges and any other costs and charges related to the transfer of the property. We did not utilize any brokers or finders in the conveyance of the property. As stated in the funding agreement, any property transfers must be approved by both the TRC board and the city council. So these are 2 of the properties that are located in the downtown neighborhood planning district. Y'all may recall these are directly south of East Avenue C, currently owned by the city, and we'd like to transfer them to the TRC. You may recall we've been doing quite a bit of acquisitions and property transfers in this area. So this is a map that Nicole worked on with GIS to create. So you can really see the full picture of what we're doing. This was a part of the East End redevelopment that we had in our downtown neighborhood plan. So you can see we're acquiring a lot of properties to get there, which is great. Then these are the other 4. These are located in the Ferguson Park Neighborhood Planning District. As you can see, the TRC already owns some properties over here, majority off of Luna, as well as some off of F and one off of Henderson. This is in the southwest area of the Ferguson Park Neighborhood Plan, which we also show a redevelopment plan for. So transfer of these properties will help us do that. Another thing that we're working on from the neighborhood planning team standpoint is those permit ready plan sets, which we are getting a bunch together, and we're going to be going out to the builder and the development community to get feedback and then bringing those to y'all so we can show them, and that will be crucial when we list these properties for sale. So that's why we're holding a bit on listing any properties until we have those, because then we'll have plans specifically that how we would like a developer or builder to revitalize.
Roughly, what are the size of those lots?
Oh, that is a great question.
The reason why I asked is, are they it looks like maybe the ones on Henderson are super small,
Yes.
meaning that you put them together and maybe you end up having one structure on it
Okay.
instead of 2.
Yeah, I think they're no smaller than a 5,000 square foot lot. The Luna Lane ones, like you said, that are larger, but they look to be a smaller, probably more of a 5,000 square foot lot, which does meet our
Minimums.
I think our minimum's 4,000 square feet
Okay.
per.
So more than likely, one structure per lot
You really could.
for the market.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And honestly, that would fit really well. You know, a lot of the plans that we're doing for the permit ready sets, whether it's a duplex or single family, they're smaller.
Yeah.
And so we have several different options where you could fit it on a more narrow lot and make it more affordable as well.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. So we would recommend approval if you all are in agreement of those transfers.
Board members, are there any discussion? Is there any discussion or questions for Ms. Smith? All right, there being none, I'll entertain a motion on item 2.
Motion to approve as presented by Ms. Smith. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Board Member Long, a second by Board Member Walker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item 2 passes 5 votes to 0. Item 3 is consider approval of property transfer agreement, which will transfer 307 South Martin Luther King Jr. Drive from the Temple Revitalization Corporation to the city of Temple.
You. And I forgot to mention with the earlier one, with these property transfer agreements, they do have to go before council. So if they're all approved today, they'll be put on the November 16th agenda for the council's consideration. This property transfer agreement is a little bit different than you've seen. This is a request to transfer a TRC property to the city. This is from the city to the TRC.
You're going backwards.
We're going a little bit backwards, but there's a reason why. So I'll go to it so I can just explain a little bit. This is 307 South MLK Drive. This property was transferred to the TRC a while back, probably over a year ago. I think it was July of 22. And since then, as you all know, the city entered into an agreement with Bell County. It was related to the county participating in the reinvestment zone until 2062. And a part of that was that the city had an agreement, one of which to transfer a total of an acre for future Bell County annex site. So after the transfer of the property, we did a lot of analysis and worked with Bell County to find a location for the Bell County annex site, and this is in the general vicinity of that. So since it's the responsibility of the city to convey the properties to the county within that time frame, we're recommending going ahead and transferring this.
Makes sense.
So can you tell me,
Yes.
of all of these properties, which ones do the city not have control of?
Oh, we're gonna try to, yeah.
7 of them still?
Yes.
Okay.
And say, I know we have a lot to the north here and then,
So, yeah, they're all in the process of our subdivision.
just say, I think she has a great map that.
Yeah, I think we started out with, there's a total of 18 lots. I think we started out with city owning 6 and the other 12. And so now we're down to 7 not owned. So that's good. We've got 5. 5 of the 12 meetings.
I should ask this a while ago. How did we have we been getting lots from taxes due, or how did we get all these?
I don't remember how we initially acquired these.
I'm talking
A
about
lot
all
of
these-
times, to
all of
be
these.
honest, it's people coming to us. And I would say very little from a tax sale. We have acquired some through a tax sale, but very little. It's most of the time people coming to us and offering us properties that they have for sale. Working with them.
Very good. Board, anything else for Ms. Smith? I'll entertain a motion on item 3.
We have to approve item 3 as Ms. Smith presented.
Have a motion by Board Member Pilkington, second by Board Member Grant. Board, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 4 is consider adopting the amended bylaws of the Temple Revitalization.
Thank you. So we have some amendments that we'd like to bring to you all. It's been a little while. So one thing that right now we have a process where you all would elect a chair and a vice chair. And so one thing that we've kind of talked through and we see how it's done is that currently our, mayor serves as the chair. And so maybe it would be more natural to have the acting mayor and the mayor pro tem with their respective terms acting as the chair and vice chair. So we're recommending that structure versus the vote of the board. Another thing is that, under the requirements of the bylaws, you all are to elect the officers each year. That includes president, which is our city manager, Brent Myers, vice president, myself, your secretary, Jana Llewellyn, and treasurer, Tracy Bernard. So that's who you elected last time. And so doing that every year. So what we're recommending is a change to that, where basically you have that election that you initially do. And then if you want to make any changes to that, you would just make a change by the majority of the board versus having to do that every year. Another thing is right now in the bylaws, we have a time frame that the board must approve the annual budget 90 days prior to the fiscal year. As we went through this first year, we realized that that is quite difficult. That's a large amount of time before. And so we just felt like it would be better to reduce it to 30 years. It could happen.
30 years.
Sorry, 30 days. Reduce that, but not 30 years.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
This is not the House of Representatives.
No, it is not. No, 30 days,
Or the RZ.
because that would allow us time to, yeah, that's 39 years, right? So 30 days, to do that before the fiscal year. That gives us time to file the budget, make presentations to council and have some that review. We may do it before that time frame, but it just gives us a little bit more flexibility to bring that more of a finalized budget, to the board for approval each year. And so with that, those are the three amendments we're recommending, to you all. If approved, this would be placed in November 16th city council agenda.
That's an easy one. Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion on item 4.
I move that we accept the proposed revisions to the bylaws as presented by Ms. Smith.
I'll second it.
A motion by board member Long, second by board member Walker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. 4 passes 5 votes to 0. Number 5 is consider adopting an amendment to the developer program guidelines.
Great. And let me say with that last item, congratulations, Ms. Walker. You are now vice chair of the TRC board. Okay. So if y'all recall, we came to you with developer program guidelines to really help us work through the entire process of both identifying the developers that would be eligible to purchase property from the TRC, as well as overall process for conveyance of lots from the TRC to private developers. And that was in December of last year. And since then, we have gone through this and be able to work through and have some lessons learned. So we're recommending some revisions to you today. And it was in April of this year that we issued the request for qualifications to establish that list of developers. And we received one proposal. Nicole did a great job of getting the word out. She sent it to every member that's a part of the Temple Area Builders Association. We had several different presentations, but we only received one proposal, and that proposal was incomplete. Most of the items that are required to the process did not. So we thought, okay, this is an opportunity for us to meet with some developers, some builders in the area, get feedback on our process. What are we missing? And so Nicole Barker did a great job. She met with several different developers and also the developer that submitted the proposal to get a lot of feedback. And so from then we looked through our developer program guidelines. We felt like we were able to identify several solutions. So today I'm going to go over the amendments. There was a lot of discussion too, let me say, when we brought this to you all in December, that we had, and it was great discussion. And I think we've had some lessons learned that hopefully you'll be interested in. So the one thing is that we had the RFQ to establish a list of approved developers. That was an annual process. So now what we'd like to do is have an open process where we're not so restricted, that someone can come and submit a proposal at any time for consideration. There were a few things that we looked at in here. You'll see as we go through, there are some things where we provided some clarification that maybe it was a little bit confusing the way we had it worded in the developer program guidelines. But then also some things that we had as requirements that may have been a result of us not receiving many proposals. This next bullet, we added that any approved developer will remain on the list if they update their information every 2 years and stay compliant with obligations under the then existing contract between the approved developer and the TRC. So this is a good example of clarification. This is not any different, but the way it was worded previously was a little confusing. And just so you all know, as we go through here, I forgot to mention, Nicole printed out the red line version. If you want to follow through, and you can see what was previously stated in the developer guidelines for what we're recommending. We had in there, this was an easy change to builder developer categories. Since these are developer program guidelines, we just revised that to developer categories. Under the qualification process and evaluation criteria, we did revise this portion to state that the committee will develop a list of respondents meeting the evaluation criteria with a score of 75 and above. Before, we had, I think, technical competence requirements. So simplifying that to say evaluation criteria. Responsiveness of the submittal, what we removed the financials and pro forma from this one, and this is again specific to getting approved developers through that RFQ process. We felt like this really wasn't necessary information to receive when just trying to establish that list, as it's more, specific to a project. For qualifications, we removed the requirement for the respondents to provide the subcontractors and partners qualifications in its organizational chart. That was something that was a huge concern to several different developers of providing this information. Also, they didn't want to do this until a specific project was identified. Also, and have that related, but they changed. It depends on the subcontractor's availability. So if they stated here, it may be more project dependent. Under the experience and track record, we did remove the requirement for them to include any details regarding performance against budget and a schedule in the contract terms. Again, we think this is more project dependent and wouldn't be for just getting on the list of approved developers, and removing the requirement for them to provide experience with the local hire and local community support activities. Although that would be nice, looking back through this, is that really necessary for someone to become a approved developer? It's really more about their development experience and what they can do. It would be great to have someone that's, involved with any community supported activities, but not necessary to be on the list.
Is local considered right here in Temple?
Yeah,
Because like Seneca.
And that's kind of confusing too.
Those others,
Mhm.
they're out of Columbia.
That's right. I mean, I think you could, it wasn't defined. So, some people think Bell County is local,
Right.
So it wasn't real clear after looking through that. Under capacity to perform, we removed the requirement for them to provide any financial and bonding capacity to begin construction or development. For the acquisition of property, again, something more related to when you have a specific project and not really necessary for this. We also edited a section to clarify that they must provide us with evidence relating to developments they've completed regarding quality construction buildings and support of neighborhood values and plans and the use of innovative building materials. So that was more of a clarification. The wording may have been a little bit confusing before. And then lastly, under the capacity to perform, we removed the requirement for them to provide sample performance for typical construction. Again, project dependent. This is something that may not be necessary. We felt for the list of approved developers. Under the lot selection, we're recommending removing the requirement to provide any corporate entity documents. This is something, again, that was a huge concern to developers we reached out to, of this becoming public information submitted. Developer requirements and restrictions, minimum standards. This is the part that is not the approved developer RFQ. This is more so related to the sale of lots, to a developer. So what we did here is we replaced the requirement for them to provide a financing letter or a performance bond to meet the financing requirements, and instead providing a signed statement to the TRC. The signed statement would confirm that they have obtained a financing letter from a lender, has sufficient cash to pay for construction, or they've secured a performance bond. So it provides a little bit more flexibility how they can show us how they're meeting those financing requirements when awarded a lot. And I think that's it. Is there any questions or anything?
So all those amendments that you're taking out of the qualification process, do those all basically come back in at the project stage?
No, those were specific to the qualification process.
But all those qualifications have been removed.
Mhm.
They're never gonna be responsible for that information, even when they're
Oh, no, they
doing a
will.
lot.
They do. They have specific requirements that they'll be responsible for. So down in that part. Have it.
I mean, I understand their concern around, now all this stuff becomes public information.
Right.
You don't want to just hand that out.
Yeah, they'll have specific requirements when they do. So like, for instance, this last one here, this is specific to when awarded a lot. So they will have to meet like the financing commitment. So we'll have a contract with anyone that we take to you all and show that they'll have to meet a timeline. They'll be specific to, how they're gonna build it and all the specifics they'll have to comply with, and that will be in the form of the contract.
And what if they don't? What happens?
We'll have, the contract will, speak to that for each specific project. That I would say most likely it would probably go back to the TRC.
In midstream, the TRC would then, let's say they've done X amount on building
Right.
and stuff is there on the lot, in the ground.
Mhm.
Does that belong to the TRC if it has to go back to TRC, or do they take all that out?
I think it just depends on how we write the contract for each of those specific ones. And how we probably will give them a certain time frame to correct the issue, and then if not.
Oh, yeah.
it would get back.
But again, if it comes back to the TRC
Mhm.
after you've given specific time to correct whatever the issue is,
Mhm.
and that doesn't occur, does midstream construction, the lumber, the whatever is there belong to the TRC, or do they yank all that out and take it away with them?
I guess it just depends. I mean, you could have a case where they have a certain amount of time to remove it and put the site back to its previous condition. I'm probably thinking very airport minded right now on how we do things with the airport.
Oh, okay.
I think about things like that. That's how we've done things in the past.
Are they gonna have like ownership of the lot before they start the construction, or the city still owns?
Yeah, we would convey it under a contract, and they would have to meet the obligations in the contract, similar to what we've done as a city, like when we, with the Han, Arcadia and things like that. It'd be a very similar process.
So then do they lose ownership of the lot if the construction process collapses midstream and it comes back to the TRC?
I think they very well could.
But I mean, that's specifically outlined somehow?
Oh, yeah, it will be
Well,
in the
it's-
contracts.
Okay.
Mhm.
The land isn't conveyed until the contract is complete, right? Until they've performed. So during
Till the
the
construction's
construction
complete.
process, who owns the lot?
I think we convey and then they, right? I think,
That could have impact on their lending too,
yeah.
What?
on their lending, if they've got a loan.
Mhm.
If they don't own it, but.
Yeah.
I know when I built houses, I built houses on people's lots that they still own, but they had to get the loan.
Right.
I couldn't get a loan from the bank and lending to build a house.
So it's better to go ahead and convey.
Yeah, I think we convey, and then we just have a reverter clause, right? Where it would come back to the city.
So the lot itself will come back to the TRC.
Right.
Like what we did with the Han the first time.
Right.
We conveyed it.
With a crappy house on it.
I'm sorry. With what? Oh.
I'm done with like airport where someone's built and like, let's say they didn't finish their project, they had to have, when it goes back, although we still owned it, but still they had to put the site back into the condition, when they were previously. thinking about that. So I would imagine it would be similar.
A lot of times we would
Yeah,
have
little
to
hanger.
think about whether it's to our benefit to keep.
That's
it
another
on.
thing too.
So these are things we about that. We can, these are things we'll have to think about when it comes time to.
I would think it would definitely be to
exactly.
our benefit to keep the lot.
Definitely the
Oh,
lot, but I
yeah,
guess
the
it
lot.
depends on the
The
improvement.
loan.
If we want to retain the improvements that they've made.
No, but somehow we
If
need
they
to be
outperform, get
protected.
it back.
I'm really uncomfortable here. I feel like I'm saying things about a legal issue that I obviously
no.
don't know the details of, but this whole thing makes me very nervous. I feel like we handed off too much.
Oh, and we haven't handed off anything yet. In every project that we have, so for example, we have the MKT depot right now listed for sale. So whenever we get those proposals in and we identify the, selected developer to do this, you are gonna see you'll have the opportunity you will have to review the contract and approve it in order for the sale to go through. So we'll have all of these specific requirements outlined when it
Okay.
comes.
Yeah, Susan, right now, this is just kind of the framework, and then when we get down to it, we'll have very detailed contract provisions that will address all of these questions. I think one way kind of to think about it is zoning and plating. Sometimes when you're thinking about a zoning case, well, what about drainage, or what are you gonna do about streets and access? It's like,
Yes,
okay, those are all important, and they will be addressed in plating.
yes,
So it's
at the
kind of,
appropriate point.
yes, it's kind of the same.
So
thing.
my nervousness is too soon.
I think, no, it's appropriate, but those questions will definitely be addressed when it comes time to enter into the
Okay.
contracts that are specific to each individual project.
And I clearly don't, one, legally know the details, and two, don't understand the construction issues that we have council members that will completely understand it, but I'm just sitting here feeling fidgety.
Makes sense.
And that's great.
I'm curious as, it was called builder/developer previously, and they're really builders, right, though? They're not developing.
Yeah,
Why do we go with developer?
The way that we have defined developer in here is already defined as a developer or builder. So we use the same term approved developer throughout, and so but the definition does relate to developer or builder. But using that consistent wording, approved developer, is what we should have done throughout here. But you're exactly right. It is a builder as well.
Is that
as
not throwing
defined.
some of the people off to see that, because they're not a developer, they're a builder, but they see, have to be an approved developer is.
They seem to grasp that really well. Yeah, they seem to grasp it because since it's defined, they know that they can be a builder.
You got the sense, I'm assuming with this group you met with, and came up with the revisions, that we will get more applicants.
I sure hope so. I guess we'll see.
Oh, I know that
And
the financials, given the financials, I've not bid multi-million-dollar projects because they wanted my financials to be over the
yeah,
That may be a big,
that seems like it was.
that may
very
pull a
big
lot of roadblock out of.
Because of privacy.
I don't want, and especially giving it to a city, that's now my personal financial statements are now public
Public.
city information.
I see what you're
I'm not
saying.
giving it to, and there is cities that have
Sure.
asked for that. We'll bid it. I don't care how good a job it is.
Okay.
And that was the exact sense that we got from the development community, that is just private information.
Yeah.
Not willing to share
Now your competitors know.
it. Yeah, and it makes sense. Because everything, of course, that we do. public
And likewise, that the list of your subs and stuff, somebody could take that, get it for public information and go be a builder pretty easy if that.
Exactly.
Let's provide you with the list of subcontractors so you can take my place.
Go poach 'em.
Mm. And honestly, those were things that we just didn't think about the first
Sure.
time down. And you weren't here when we did it the first time. But a lot of lessons learned, and I knew we would, but I think these are great lessons learned. But happy to make any additional changes if y'all see any other issues or anything like that, or even if it's not today, you have some time to go back, we can bring more changes forward at any point. This is one of the few that does not require city council approval, so it's only the TRC board.
Well, don't, And just because we're making some wholesale changes here, as you move along, when
Okay.
if it needs to be tweaked, we don't hesitate.
Okay,
We want, I mean, again, we have all these lots sitting there, zero tax revenue.
yes.
Let's get them moving.
Yes, we're ready to go. Oh, like I said earlier too, a lot of things that we're waiting on are those, having those plan sets and letting people know exactly what we want to call. So you're gonna start seeing some things really moving forward.
And like you said, this is a learning experience for everybody.
Yes.
Which is, I personally totally accept that.
Is it? So plan sets down to, I mean, literally the plans build this.
Yeah,
and-
we
and
will
you
say
can sell through
desire.
Permitting.
Honestly, my idea is that we'll say, this is what we desire. So like, for example, we're also doing some development plans. So we're doing it for that property that the TRP owns, off General Bruce Drive. That's, really close to the roundabout and Temple High
Yes,
School. So we're doing a
that's
development
really
plan
important.
there, what we'd like to see. And then also in Ferguson Park for the 9-acre property, in that southeast area that we own with the large utility easement that's running through. So what we're gonna say is that this is what we would desire to have, but somebody may come with a proposal that's better than that.
Sure.
And then that will be part of that evaluation that we'll bring to you all.
And those changes aren't gonna slow down the system too much, hopefully.
I sure hope not, no. I mean,
It's good expediter, right?
I would say so. most
Well,
definitely.
but unless you're wanting to make a change to the pre-approved expedited plan.
Well, not necessarily. I don't think it would be really any different. The expedited plans are, that's just another resource for us with TRC. The main objective with those is for our development community to be able to just come into these neighborhoods. I want to use them additionally for TRC because, we want to encourage, use of what we've been planning for in these neighborhoods. We have a lot of, we have a variety of things that people can choose from, whether it's cottages, duplexes,
Yeah.
single family. So townhomes we're working on right now. This we're trying to finish up. So, yeah, I think if anything, it will be the same because we'll say this is what we'd like to see so they can have those and speed it up, like Ms. Bernard said, and not have to create their own plan sets. Or, they could have their own.
Is the goal owner occupied?
Not necessarily. We have a strong need for rentals, to
Mhm.
be perfectly honest. So I don't think necessarily. And I don't think it's always affordability.
Owner occupied is not gonna get preferential treatment.
No.
Yeah.
It will really, and that's what we'll say is, show us what you're recommending, it may not always be affordability. You may have mixed income in an area, which is also very desirable. So, I think but we definitely have a strong need for rentals in our community. We don't have enough. And there's lots of vouchers out there. Nancy tells me all the time. That's right.
Right. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Board members, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion on that item. Count 5, yeah.
You know, approve item 5, changes of the.
Second.
Have a motion by board member Pilkington, a second by board member Long. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Item 5 carries 5 votes to 0.